Hello again, SGBers. I'm Companion Wolf with another Smile Game Builder tutorial video. We are now in the year 2018. It's hard to believe how quickly last year seemed to go by, but Smile Game Builder certainly went from strength to strength, ending on a high note with the exporter for Unity DLC, and no doubt it will continue its growth this year. This video is the first tutorial of 2018 and the first in a new series dedicated to Unity SGB, specifically exporting games from SGB to Unity and then manipulating them in Unity, adding effects and so on, and ultimately exporting them to the different platforms. Thank you so far for all your support, your likes, your subs and your comments. I really do appreciate them all. If you haven't already, give this video a like as well and subscribe to be notified of any new videos or tutorials that I upload. Now, in light of the new updates that came with SGB version 1.9, I'm deferring a number of tutorials I'd already planned, including the continuation of the HUDs, to take advantage of common events. This means that I'll revisit many of my older tutorials and then bring them up to date in line with this update as well. The main purpose of this tutorial, however, is importing an SGB game into Unity and then converting it to run on other platforms. Unity, of course, has a plethora of different formats, from phones to OSs, consoles, but in this video I'm only going to export something simple to run as a standalone Windows program. I'll cover some of the other platforms in due time as well. I am going to use one of the preset DLCs for this tutorial, the G-Style Volume 1. This is a Modern City DLC that is available on the Steam store. I'll put the link to it in the description below. Now, on a side note, I started working on a kind of traffic system using this DLC where vehicles and NPCs moved in set patterns based on the traffic lights themselves. It didn't work too well, but I might actually revisit this later, especially now with the addition of common events and local variables. If you don't know what I'm on about, you can check the showcase video that I did. I'll put the link to that description below, or you can view it in the top right hand corner. And here we have the G-Style. And then this is the office. So imagine this in Unity. To export it into Unity, therefore, we'd go into Utilities, and then it's Export Unity. You do need the exporter utility for this. It's available on the Steam store. Again, the link will be in the description. Anyway, you can browse to the folder that you want. I'm just going to type in this one. This is my Flash. I've created one called Unity Projects, and then you will select the folder and then we'll give it a name, G-Style Unity. You can type in some settings here, although I don't think this is really necessary. We'll just keep it as Unity RPG Maker Simon. Now, you will notice that the divide scenes for each map option isn't available yet, so this limits certain things that we can do in Unity, as you'll see. But once this option is available, I believe it'll make a specific map editing and editing in general much easier. So click export and it'll start the process of copying and converting the files. This might take some time depending on how big your project is. And then once it's done, it'll tell you with a little alert box. And when you click OK, it'll open up the projects folder. There will be two main folders in here. The license text obviously will tell you the specific terms of use. Project settings contains the assets for Unity to recognize and import, but there's one here, project version, that'll tell you the editor version, the one that SGB uses, I think. In this case it's 5.6.4p3. It only seems to support the 5.x because when I had the latest 2017 beta build, maybe it was just me or my computer or something, I ran into a wealth of errors, incompatibilities and incongruities, so I had to downgrade for now. And then in the assets, you'll see everything contained in your game, but in a format that Unity can work with. There are a lot of meta files in these folders. These help with version source control and allows for resolving certain issues, including version updates, so that they pretty much become cross-transferable. If you make an error or something, it'll save. And similarly, where is it? Here. Similarly, you have a lot of bytes extensions. These contain the binary data from text assets for things like textures and other information, in this case related to SGB. So back into the assets folder, you have two main Unity files. The download expansion file, I think, is like an APK expansion for use with SGB for building cross-platform projects. It'll download certain things that you're missing. An entry is a store callback to determine which event types, event IDs, and so on should be called. It's the SGB main file for use with Unity. Now you can either load up Unity in the normal way and manually open your project in the Unity folder, then select the root folder used for the export from SGB. Unity will then scan through the files and import the project. You can see here from this screenshot some of the things I've been playing around with, including Otherworld Through the Veil. You can also double click on entry to open it in Unity, which in my opinion is the best, quickest option for importing it and loading it in Unity. Now you may see a dialog window similar to this one complaining about different versions, but as long as it's 5.6 whatever, it seems to work fine. So continue with that, and after a while, with a few impersonal hold on progress dialogues, everything will be set up and ready to go. I'll speed this process up for the video as it can take a bit of time, again depending on how big your project is. Once in Unity, I would recommend going into layout and then choosing the 2x3, because that way you can synchronize between the scene and the game, and then the two other tabs are inspector and hierarchy. If you don't have them, you can go into the paragraph icon here and then add them. Anyway, I am going to mute the audio on the game first, because otherwise it'll become like too loud. We know what SGB's sound is like. The hierarchy tab will show the different components under entry. Most of these have a dummy underneath them. These are like containers, since everything right now is contained in entry. And if we click on entry, it'll show up here in the scene, but there won't be anything. So in inspector, you can view some settings and then add components to it. And then in the assets folder, this is your entire game's contents, everything from maps to resources to scripts. Now bear in mind that the main purpose of the exporter for Unity DLC at the moment is just to convert your games to other platforms. There's no specific way to edit particular maps yet. That's what the divide scenes for each map would be for, so that each map becomes an editable scene rather than having them contained in one entry and then having to play the game to edit specific maps. Smileboom will continue developing and expanding this Unity integration over time, and they're planning to make their engine open source eventually, I believe. So in light of that, the only real way you can edit maps, or at least the easiest way right now, is to edit as you play through. So clicking on the play, and in the game tab, the game will load and the scene tab will change accordingly. So we can click on the new game and you will see how everything changes here. And the first thing you will notice is all of these cloned assets. In fact, every part of the map is cloned and can be edited manually. You can select the entire map by selecting map scene, and then in the editor everything will be selected. Or you can click on individual things here. I don't know where that would be, but say click on the telephone box and it will be highlighted here. And then if we go into the office, which it would be here, I think. Once again, the map scene will change. Lots of different clones. And then now here you can use the Unity to change certain things like lights or add some particle effects. Now, as I said in the beginning, I'm not going into detail here. I'll save that for later tutorials, because the purpose of this is to show how to export the game. So back on topic, you can either press Ctrl-Shift-B or go into File and the build settings, all of the different platforms that you can export to, including Facebook. Now with a lot of these you have to download the modules. Most of these I don't have. The only ones I will be focusing on, at least in the beginning, is the PC, the Android and the WebGL, because the other ones are a little more involved. But the principles are still the same. And as you can see, unless you have the Pro version upwards, I think. Some of the ones, like the console ones for the PlayStation, you will have to buy. So the main scene is entry, which is the entire game, and then for the purposes of this tutorial, we will go to the PC, Mac and Linux standalones. Anyway, click Build. And then choose the folder in the Unity projects, G-Style Unity, and then we'll give it a name. G-Style Unity. Then when you save, it'll go through the process and save the game as an executable file for Windows, and then it shouldn't take too long, but again, it depends on the size of your game. Now, incidentally, with the architecture, you can choose the x86 or the x86 64. I have the 64-bit, but I chose to use the 86. And then once it's done, it'll automatically open up the folder. And then you can see everything that you would need. And all of the assets and stuff, all of the data that it needs to run, including some DLL files linking everything together. Now when you double click on the exe file, this little configuration window will pop up, and the cool thing is that you can change the screen resolutions and the graphics quality, and you can even change the default keys if you don't like what the default SGB ones are, which is something that you can't do in SGB. So anyway, let's play. And that's it. If you added things like lighting or particle effects or some other styles in the editor, then they will show up in this version. As I said before, I'll cover some of the other platforms later. They're a bit more involved and require additional downloading and tweaking to be able to export to these formats. and it would go beyond my target 20 to 30 minute video length. And bear in mind that I do not have access to a Mac, Apple products or consoles, so won't be able to deal with those. But for now, at least you'll be able to export and distribute your games for Windows. And this concludes the first tutorial in my new Unity SGB series. I'll upload more tutorials in this series in addition to my regular SGB tutorials every Sunday, Monday. These videos will be infrequent at first because I'm still experimenting a lot with it anyway, but they will eventually become more regular as I settle back into my normal micro time management routine again. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to be notified of new videos I upload, click the bell icon as well. That's it for another video in the Smile Game Builder Tutorials and Showcase series. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.